It's a huge escalation in what's being seen as the edge of war between America and Venezuela. Donald Trump is threatening land strikes after this. The U.S. Coast Guard, with the backing of their Navy and law enforcement, took over a Venezuelan oil tanker last week. Caracas calls it an act of piracy. The highly unusual act of boarding a foreign ship is dramatically ratcheting tensions up in the region. We're joined by Ben Rowswell, consultant with Catalyze 4 and former Canadian ambassador to Venezuela. You were on the ground in Venezuela. Talk to me about what life is like in Caracas.
I was there for 3 years. It's a beautiful, beautiful country. Actually quite similar to Canada in a lot of ways. It's about exactly the same size population, oil-rich country, really diverse population, large indigenous population, and culturally and politically really quite similar to us in terms of the attitudes of the people. So it's a real tragedy to see what's happened in the 10 years since that they've been under this very difficult government.
You were our final ambassador in Caracas.
Yeah.
So what is the Canada-Venezuela relationship like today?
Well, it's pretty tense. We closed our embassy because under the Venezuelan constitution, when the government is declared illegitimate, they recognize the head of the parliament, the legislative assembly. But when we did that, the Maduro government didn't like it, so they stopped allowing our diplomats in. So we actually have no one on the ground representing Canada. And that makes it a little difficult for us to have a read of the situation.
Well, let's talk about the here and now with the relationship with the United States.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is really ratcheting up the tension, boarding one of their naval vessels. That feels like an elevation, feels like another step towards what some people are saying is all-out war.
Yeah, I mean, by some definitions, it is war. They've killed 83 civilians already through their bombing campaign in the boats in the Caribbean. So these little, fishing and speedboats that have no military markings whatsoever, getting blown out of the water. That's already an illegal use of force in international relations. Stealing an oil tanker is also a violation of international law. So in some sense, you could say the war has already begun.
Yeah. Now, it was an oil tanker. Do you think that is significant, especially given the fact that this government seems to have has sidestepped a lot of the U.S. sanctions by selling to China?
Possibly, although I think what's more significant is it's just a brazen violation of international law, and that almost seems to be the point of the United States. Like, it's hard to tell, are they actually serious about replacing the government of Nicolas Maduro? Are they trying to reduce the flow? None of that really makes sense because they're not doing what they would be doing if that was the goal. What they seem to be doing is to demonstrate, not just to Venezuelans, but to everyone else in the Americas, that the United States can break any law that it wants to at any time.
We're hearing that drone strikes could be next?
It's hard to know. I'm not privy to any of that information, but I would think that a full ground invasion would be extremely costly to the United States. You know, they learned in Iraq, they learned in Afghanistan that can kill hundreds, eventually thousands of troops and cost billions and billions of dollars. So it would seem unlikely that they're going to go to that level. Drones are the sort of future of warfare, and it's still sort of uncertain exactly what you could do with drones.
Yeah, well, it's also, given the fact Donald Trump has said he doesn't want to get into any wars. He's worn it as a badge of pride, almost, that he's stopped wars. He's not the one guy who gets you into wars. And while he has, declared war on drugs and on narco states, he hasn't. Going to war with Venezuela is not something any of us had on our bingo card.
Well, he's awfully fond, for someone who professes to be a peacemaker and who wants the Nobel Prize, he's awfully fond of using violence against other countries. He bombed Iran without any sort of legal justification. He's killing these, quite low-level drug operatives in the Caribbean. Yeah. So he's a bellicose president. He's a warmonger, and it's just a question of like how much violence is he going to inflict on Venezuela?
Yeah. What does he think Caracas is going to do next?
He might think that the Maduro government will just fold and that Maduro will flee. But, I've been watching President Maduro for many, many years now. Yeah. He's hardcore. Like, he is a true believer in his, socialist mission, even though it's caused devastation to his country. I think he would rather die in office than to, do a deal and, like, be spirited out of the country.
So yeah, you've got the United States on one side, Venezuela on the other. If you were a betting man, where's the world going to rally? Behind which one of those two players in this dynamic?
In terms of international opinion, I mean, no one really wants to back the United States on anything right now. The United States has sort of declared either economic war or military war against each of its neighbors. It's threatened, long-standing peaceful allies like Denmark over Greenland, Panama. And so the United States seems to be just shedding friendships left, right, and center. It doesn't really want to be anyone's friend anymore. Venezuela is certainly not popular. It's been very heavily isolated, so it ends up being kind of like the battle between the two least popular countries in the world.
What is the state of the military in Venezuela, and are they well taken care of? Because if they're not, then all of a sudden it's a different game.
So the generals, like the senior leaders, are filthy rich. In
Oh,
Venezuela.
really?
Yeah, because they are.
It's not even, they're not just well fed. They are.
Oh, no, they're
rich.
like multi-billionaires. Like they're oligarchs, essentially,
Yeah.
because they're following the Cuban model. So, for example, there's been a lot of gold in Venezuela. The military has like carte blanche to extract as much gold and sell it and just own it, all of themselves. All kinds of monopolies. Like only the military is allowed to, mine this metal or to sell this product. And so they make these massive, massive amounts. But that's just the generals. There is a massive shortage of food in Venezuela. There has certainly been some periods where they've actually witnessed low-ranking soldiers diving into dumpsters to grab whatever food scraps they can get. This country went from an economy that was the richest in all of Latin America to now competing with Haiti and Honduras for the title of being the poorest country. So there's just not that much largesse to give out anymore. And at one point, you got to think that at some point the money's going to run out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ben.